All right, everyone. Welcome to Build. This is the session to know and learn how to deploy critical cloud workloads through the Azure Marketplace. My name is Julio Colon, and I'm here with Patrick Butler. So the agenda for today is number one. Let's go a little bit on what to expect from this session. We're gonna be discussing things about the partners. We're gonna be teaching you how to do deployments from the point of view of the marketplace. We're going to be having a way to share some resources that we have for you in order to have your solution into the marketplace. And at the end of this session, we're going to have a session and a time for questions and answers. Next slide, please. Okay, so you're going to notice that on this chat, on this session, you're going to have a chat box. You can post questions there. They will be anonymously or used by. You're going to allow us have your username or your name. There will be an upvote button, like one like this. Use that so we can know which questions are popular, and then those popular questions, then we will have answer for them at the end of the session. So we have an etiquette, and the session will be recorded. We have moderators that will be looking at questions on the chat, and if there's a spam, they will be showing up. And please adhere to the Microsoft Code of Conduct. Okay, the topic for today, we're going to be discussing how to create commercial marketplace offers and how to leverage these marketplace offers for different solutions like AI, DevOps, and security. And then we are going to have, again, more questions and answers. This is a community session, so we're going to be talking a lot on getting a lot of questions on the marketplace. But before we do that, let's talk about the commercial marketplace. So we as Microsoft, we're looking into the one catalog system. On the left side of the commercial marketplace, we have the publishers, and these are the partners, as we know them. Every partner will go into the partner center, partners.microsoft.com. And over there, they can set up the different solutions that are available, and they will be available for the customers. We cover different areas. We support IIS, SaaS, PaaS, and services on the left side. So our partners can get very unique solutions that then they will be sold to the left side, which will be our buyers. And these buyers come in different personas. So we have the Azure Marketplace buyers. Those are usually the IT professionals who come to the marketplace to buy solutions for their users. And then we have the business users, which may be looking for a solution in Power BI, Office, and so on. We also have on the buyer side, and this is great for the partners, is that we have the field who uses the quote center to have a list of all the solutions in one single quote. And we also have resellers that have their own customers, and they're looking into buying a solution in the marketplace so they can sell them themselves. One benefit of having the commercial marketplace and a one catalog system is that we have a one bill invoice, a one bill for the customers. So the customer will see all the solutions listed in that one bill. So it's very easy for processing and instead of having this paperwork that usually IT professional get to get when it has many products. So this is a short summary of what the catalog is. We're trying to get everything consolidated, so it's one single place for all our partners and customers to do business with us. With this, I'm going to leave Patrick to talk to us about how to get your solution as a partner.
Well, thank you, Julio, for that great introduction. Let's go into see how, as a partner, we can deliver the solutions to marketplace. So the first thing that you want to look at is to get access into the Partner Center. So Partner Center is where you as a publisher will create those offers. So you will get an account in Partner Center. In there, then you have the opportunity to look at what offers you want to create. When you create offers, there's multiple offer types, and we'll go into more detail into those. But just as a high level, just think about when you create an offer, there's three main things you're going to do. One is to provide what the offer information is. So they offer the service you want to sell, description, all your marketing materials that you need to define that offer. Also, you want to look at all the plans and how you want to monetize that solution, so how you want to sell that solution. So those two are two very important steps. And the last part is basically a technical information, like what are the technical assets that you're going to need to properly deliver that solution to your customer, right? And that can be as a VM offer, it can be as a more complex solution that gets deployed into the customer solution, or even SaaS apps. Okay, so from the standpoint is like, how do you go about creating that commercial marketplace offer? There's really three things that you need to do. Number one is understand how you want to deliver that solution to your customer, right? You may be moving from an on-premise environment. You may have already a SaaS offer. You may have already products that you have already being sold on different manners. So thinking about how you're going to deliver that is very important. Like as a SaaS infrastructure service, you deliver it as a container. The next part that is important is like defining how do you want to monetize your solution. So this is where you're going to think about how do you want to prepare your customers for purchasing that solution. It can be like from a monthly based plan to yearly based. You could have even per seat, or even metered based, where you're using transaction based consumption to define that billing model. Okay, so those are the kind of the two areas that you want to think about. The last part is you come into Marketplace and see which offer fits best for you, what you're trying to deliver. Now, if you look at the offers that we have on Marketplace, we have multiple of them. Some of them are very simple, like virtual machine. This is a single machine, single VM, where you pack all your solution and you deliver it to the customer. You have things that like Azure apps that would allow you to deliver more complex solutions. This is a multi-VM environment, multi-service environment, right? It allows you to do multi-tier based solutions you want to deploy. It allows you to also deliver as part of your solution connected services. Let's say you're using Azure Storage, or you're using AI capabilities that we have available on Azure, right? So it allows you to compose that solution and deliver that solution. So there's two areas going to be solution templates and managed apps. The difference between those is on managed apps, basically the publisher will have the ability to manage that solution in behalf of the customer. And then we'll go into more detail on that a little bit later. We also have containers, which is today is a one single container. We have also the ability of utilizing IoT edge modules. And lastly, we have SaaS application and consulting services. So as you see on the right side, we have deployed in customer subscription. This is a big difference because this implies who is going to be paying for the resources, Azure resources utilized by the service that you're delivering. So in that column, everything that said yes, that means the solution that you are delivering is going to be in the customer Azure subscription, so they will pay for the infrastructure. The other ones that say no is basically you will pay for that infrastructure. Now, we also talk about the different offers and monetization models. This is also very important because it depends how do you want to sell your solution. You may be able to incline to use one offer type versus the other. So as you can see, the SaaS application is the one that has the most granular metered or billing capabilities, including meter, which we just added last year. So you got per month, per year, per seat, metered. That one doesn't allow BYOL, which is bring your own license. Consulting services today are not transacted. We're working on getting that done. Virtual machines, you can monetize those per core per hour, and it's billed monthly. And then you have the ability of setting them up as bring your own license. Azure apps will allow you to use the VM offering also per core per hour and bill monthly, and is also allowed as a BYOL. Managed apps, we just added I think it was a couple weeks ago, the ability for you to do metered based per month billing. So this would allow you to basically have a solution that is basically using counters or transactions that you can bill for those transactions. And just to go a little bit more details, and this is more a technical talk, you can have up to 18 different meters that you can utilize. So you can get really, really granular. For example, egress, ingress, number of transactions per second for all the different components that you may want to have build a customer for. Okay. The last two components, containers and edge modules, are BYOL only, and then we're working on getting those into into a higher level transaction monetization models. So those are kind of the two areas that you need to think about initially as you approach the commercial marketplace and how you want to deliver the solution. Now, determining the offer type. So this gets a little bit more of the nitty gritty of the how do we make that decision happen, right? So if you already have your solution delivered as a SaaS offer, the best thing to do for you is basically go with a SaaS offer that we have as part of Marketplace, right? So this will be deployed on the publisher subscription, as we talked before. There is a couple integrations that you need to do. Basically, you need a way for receiving the customers when we redirect the customers for them to be registered, so you know who they are. And then the second part is basically validate and authenticate communications with the billing API. So you tell us, that you accept this customer, we activate the customer, and then you tell us what billing model, what plan are you choosing to transact this customer with, right? It has the most flexible monetization capabilities, and then we can go into more detail later if you guys are interested on that. Now let's move into the next box there, which is the solution going to be complex or not? So this is a give or take depending on how you do things, because you may have a solution that you have different editions, right? So you may have a developer edition, you may have a basic edition, and then you may have an enterprise edition, right? So normally what we've seen is people will use the VM offer or the container offer to deliver kind of the developer basic editions, right? And then the more advanced editions, or the editions that contain, or the solutions that contain like all the full-fledged features, then they're deployed as Azure applications. So think about complexity. If you can pack everything into a virtual machine is super simple to do. It's basically one VM, and then you can deliver and start monetizing that service. If it's something that is a little more complex, let's say you have multiple VMs, or you're using Azure services that compose that solution that you're trying to sell, then you want to look into more Azure apps. And as part of Azure apps, as we look into the two options that we have, the decision to be made here is like, hey, do I want my customers to manage the solution by themselves, or do I want to manage that on their behalf, or do I want to have a third party managing that solution on their behalf? And that's basically it, really. So the differences between those from a technical perspective is going to be the same technical assets, the same artifacts. The difference is on managed apps. If we go, there is that layer of management that is provided by the publisher or the partner, the developer, and basically you will have full rights on that environment, where the customer can only see the resources on that resource group, but you will be allowed to manage the entirety of the resource group, and you provide the specific access that you want to that solution. Okay, and then we can go into more details if you guys are interested on that. Now, from the capabilities perspective, managed apps have, as I say, we added metered-based billing, monthly-based metered billing a couple weeks ago. Solution template offer would allow you to do BYOL, and then with the addition of VM billing, you can do per core, per hour, bill per month. Okay, so that's basically gives you a good overview on how to determine the offer. Now let's look at, this is a super busy slide, and I apologize for that, but this gives you a cut of everything that we have from a requirement perspective, and what are the things that you're gonna need to build those offers. So first thing to look into how do I bring that offer live? The first thing is you need to create the offer on Partner Center, right? So remember, Partner Center is the place where you're gonna create all your offers. You will enter the marketing assets, set up the lead management, put all the documentation, support information, and technical assets that you're gonna need for that, okay? Now, secondly, the second part I wanted to take a look at is the SLAs for publishing. This is important because we had experiences where customers needed to have their solution yesterday, like everybody else, but they didn't take into account that from where you start bringing that solution into Marketplace, how long it's going to take for that solution to be live into the marketplace for your customers to purchase. There is an SLA, and that SLA has to do with the certification process. We take very good care on validating the solutions that I brought up by our customers to both protect our customers and our partners in case of bad things happening. So that publication SLA will include validation of the non-technical assets. It will include the validation and certification of the technical assets for each one of the offers, and then a certification that makes sure that we can move forward. Now, the interesting thing here to note also is you as a publisher, right? You as a developer, as you bring those solutions to marketplace, you will have the ability of making sure that you test that offer before it goes live, right? So it's not like after you click a button, it's gone. You will have an opportunity there, like after we finish our validation process and certification process, for you to review that offer and roll back in case that you need to make specific changes, okay? So I know a lot of information, and I may be talking a little bit too fast, but the last part I wanna show here, for each one of the offer types, you will have different technical requirements, okay? So think about it, for a virtual machine, so if we look on the top, you will need a VHD, virtual hard drive. For things like Azure apps, solutions, solution template, and manage apps, the requirement's gonna be the same. So ARM, Azure Resource Manager, is basically the way that we deploy infrastructure in Azure. Is basically a text-based language that basically allows you to sequentially send commands to the Azure Fabric to deploy the specific components that you need. Okay. Now, there's also a UI definition file, and then what the UI definition file allows you to do is to provide a user interface. So when customers are going to deploy your solution, they have a way to properly say what do they need and where are the specific areas that they want for your solution. So, simple things as name, last name, name, password for administration, to how many VMs do I need on this tier, or do I do any specific configuration that you may have as part of your solution. Okay, so UI definition files, just think about it, a way for you to capture the customer requirements. So when you deploy that solution via the ARM template, all that is passed through into the ARM template, and template finally and definitively configures that solution specifically for that customer. Okay, and for SaaS apps, it's that integration with Azure AD that we talk about. There's a couple more areas in that area you need to implement. Also, the billing API. We have a community open SaaS SDK that would allow you to take care of a lot of the things. So if you're interested in that, we can move the conversation on that area too. The last part, the billing, we already talk about the billing capabilities. So I'm gonna skip that part. Now, so we talk about how does publisher, a partner, a developer bring their solutions into the marketplace. So now let's look at what is the customer experience, right? So normally the customer, you have two different interfaces that they can choose from. So you can directly go to the Azure Management Portal and then click on Add Resource or Deploy Resource, and then that will connect you to the marketplace directly, right? So you just have to type in the name of the software or the service that you want, and that will get done. The other way is to go through the marketplace interface, right? So this is the example of marketplace interface. This basically shows kind of the workflow that I was talking about. So the customer can purchase the offer directly from that Azure Marketplace interface, which is the one I was just showing you here, or the management portal directly from add or create a new resource. The important thing to notice here, the customer, once the customer lands on both of those interfaces, the customer wants to purchase, they will be authenticated with Azure AD. This is important because we put the customer on a single sign-on session. What does it mean from your side? It means that you know who that person is going to be. You know their name, you're going to last name, email address, phone number, and extra information that AD tenant may be sharing for them. Okay, so it's very important. Now, when we look at the experience of deploying that solution from like a VM or an Azure app experience, it's very interesting. So as I was saying before, your customer will go into the portal, they will select the offer, your service that they want to purchase, and then in the same Azure portal, there is a new interface that opens up. So if you remember before, I was talking about this UI definition file, right? So the UI definition file basically allows you to create that interface, right? For VMs, for the VM offer, the interface is already built for you, so you don't have to do that. For Azure apps, because they have a tendency of being more complex, you have the ability to customize that the way that you want it. You can have multiple, we call them blades, but basically imagine screens and sliders that come from the side, and that will allow you to do that. Then once you finish that configuration, then the offer gets deployed. So what happens behind the scenes, right? So behind the scenes, what's happening is the create UI definition file, right? That's on the Azure Management Portal. But then those parameters are passed to the commercial marketplace storage and deployment engine. So the entity that actually deploys the solutions into the customer subscription is actually the commercial marketplace deployment engine, right? So that's the magic behind the scenes if you're wondering, like, how does this work? So yeah, so we pass the parameters, the ARM. We already have in marketplace storage your solution because you already build it through the partner center experience, and then the deployment engine will take all the technical assets like that solution template, that VM, and anything, technical assets that you may have for that solution, and then deploy that into a resource group inside the customer subscription. Okay, so that's kind of the magic, how it happens behind the scenes. For the SaaS software, the experience is just a little bit different because the SaaS software, remember, we talked the resources are in the publisher subscription, right? So this is where we look at, hey, now that the customers register on the and create that connection between the service that I want to purchase and the Azure subscriptions that I want to use to pay for that service, the customer gets redirected to the offers landing page on the customer side. Then the on the publisher side, the publisher then will register that customer, activate that subscription, and then on the activation step, basically what we're doing is you're communicating with a billing API saying, hey, billing API, I got this customer that you sent me. He wants to set up this plan. Please activate the subscription and start billing them. Okay, and then after that, basically you will redirect them to your SaaS app where they can do their business. Yeah, so those are kind of the two experiences. So after this, I think it's a lot of information that we throw at you guys. So let's open up for questions. Julio, do we have any questions on the queue that we want to talk about this?
Yes,
Yeah, we've got
Go ahead.
We've got a great question here that I wanted to bring up for the two of you around combinations of deployments. You talked about the different offer types and some of the pros and cons to each of those. Is it possible to do combinations of deployments? So something like a SaaS application that also integrates with the Power Platform or Power BI, or SaaS and managed app, that type of thing.
You could do it. It's complicated from the standpoint of on your side as a publisher for the management, because you're gonna have to manage two different solutions. So the best thing to do is I will start by looking at can the technical assets, so let's say the technical assets that go into the customer subscription, right? Can you deploy those automatically using ARM, right? That will save you a lot of time. So I will start like that is the first step. If you have manual steps, then basically you're gonna have a little bit more challenges, because if you think of the model that I was showing you before, it's point and click type deployment. So the assumption for anything that is deployed as a managed app or is deployed as a VM is like there's an implication of fully automated deployment there. Okay, so it's a complex question. It will depend really on your solution. The answer is it depends. Unfortunately, it depends what you're trying to do, and it will depend on the complexity of the solution that you're trying to deliver to the customer. But it's a great question.
Correct. Also, we have the most common scenario is for those Office developers. You could have plugins, and you're having dynamics. You can have those applications actually in their current deployment, so you can have an Office plugin and things like that. But then the way you monetize those plugins is through the marketplace offering your services. So let's say you have a system to scan email. Well, that could be processed on the SaaS side or a managed app side, but then they connect using that plugin to those services, and then you can monetize those plugins.
Awesome. And Julio, can you tell us a little bit about any, let's say, community developed SDKs to help simplify integration for SaaS solutions in particular?
Yeah, great question, Brian. So we released a few months ago, and it's there now in GitHub. We'll share the link on the chat as well. But we do have a GitHub solution application. It creates two different websites. One is for the landing page that Patrick mentioned, where the customer will reach once they subscribe to the SaaS application that you have. But then if you need to manage those solutions, those subscriptions that the customer bought, we have an administration page for you to manage that. It is a community developed solution. It's free, it's an open source, and it's open for you to use. It will definitely speed up your deployment. We have a couple of customers using it, and they have been able to get up to speed in it.
Yeah, we have the slide. I just put the slide on the just to share it if you can see it there. It's really gives you all the components that you're gonna need to properly transact customers if you have a SaaS app. As you said, they're completely pluggable components. You choose what you need there. From the basic infrastructure perspective, we have there's the client library that allows you it basically implements the entire API from the marketplace e-commerce engine, and it has a webhook for you to get the notifications from the engine. And then we have two sample solutions that showcases how to do that registration, that activation, and plan management that I was talking before. Very quick on the previous slide. And then we added also a publisher web solution that showcases how to send meters back to the billing service. So as imagine if you're using a meter-based billing, and then it showcases how to do that. Sometimes it can be a little bit daunting to understand the workflow, but this basically solution allows you to demonstrate how to take different counters and basically submit those directly into the API. And it also has the ability of persisting the transactions between the e-commerce platform and your SaaS application. So you can see all the calls, you can see the customer, the registration, plan management, etc. So it's a great example for you to get started and jump in right away.
Great, and we are running short on time, so we'll see if we can get to another question or two, and then we'll make sure to share a couple of resources. One specific question here about AKS in managed apps. Do we have a timeline for supporting Azure Kubernetes service within Azure Managed Apps? Or
that is a great question. Yeah, so we do have it on the backlog right now. It's a feature that has been repeatedly asked for publishers. We are hoping that after we get the backlog triage, we're gonna get a timeline of when is this gonna land. So the answer is we know about it. Yes, it is important for us to have that feature. It is already on the backlog and is getting prioritized as we speak. Great question.
And just in terms of logistics, wanted to share that the questions that are asked here won't be captured, although we'll copy and answer as many of them in the partner community as possible. Otherwise, there are a few other commercial marketplace sessions coming up at Build. We shared a link to that also in this latest announcement. Patrick, as we are about 1 minute from the end of the session, do you want to share some final resources?
Absolutely. So what's next? If you're interested on the marketplace, and I hope you truly are, you can access our buyer's guide here. we have a lot of technical resources in that AKMS link. We also have really good documentation on Azure Docs. For the open source community SaaS SDK, that is the link if you're interested on following up. It's available on GitHub for everybody. And then the last thing, if you're looking at building solution template-based solutions using either the Manage app or the solution template app, make sure you take a look at the Azure SDKs because they're going to truly facilitate your life. Last but not least, we have a great Microsoft Learn training about Marketplace. So it's about 20 minutes. So please take a look at it. I think you're going to gain a lot from it. And if there is not any more questions, we really hope that you continue enjoying the Build 2020. And you continue having a great time. Thanks for taking part on these sessions. We really appreciate you spending time with us. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.